Yo, it's your boy Ancient Albatross here again with the Cypher Unlimited crew. We have our usual suspects of AD or Alpha Dean. We have Spigs18 or Anthony. And just as a quick reminder, if you haven't already, be sure to follow us here on Twitch or subscribe to us over on YouTube. We are 6 subscribers away from 1,000. We are so close. So every sub is very appreciated. And yeah, Dean, what are we doing here tonight?
Well, man, we had a little upheaval. The winds were blowing and the weird, gases fell down from the heavens and things shifted. Now we have 2 guests instead of 1, So tonight, we have none other than our old staple buddy friend, who probably just a member of the CU in disguise, Sean K. Reynolds. And we also have tonight, Javier Beltran, the new lead designer. It's awesome to have Javier here for the first time. We're looking forward to learning all things MCG and so on and so forth. And, it's going to be a chill night. We're still going to talk about the weird. We're going to get some insights and we're just going to see what happens. And that's what's going on tonight. Anthony, why don't you take things away?
First off, for those that didn't know, Monte Cook was supposed to be on and he's feeling ill. So if Monte, if you're watching this or you watch it later, we hope you feel better. And I just want to say this was a short notice. Thank you to Tammy and Latia for making this happen. When Monte canceled, they quickly jumped on board and got us Sean and Javier on. So we love you guys so much. Thank you so much. Because if not, the stream would have been all 3 ugly faces talking about the weird, but we got these 2 beautiful faces hopping on. And speaking of the weird, guys, there's only 24 hours left. They've already raised $377,647, and there's close to 4,000 backers already. There's 3,948. If you haven't backed the weird, please go to Crowdbacker. We can put the link up. And you only have 24 hours left to go. If you like weirdness, if you're watching this channel, because we're weird, and you like Numenera, I'm assuming that you're going to love the Weird and the Glimmering Valley, a brand new setting for Numenera. So please go check it out. But with that said, welcome, Sean. Welcome, Javier. Thank you so much for coming on, and especially on such short notice. And Sean, maybe not so much, but Javier, could you please let us know who you are and what you do at MCG? Because Sean does pretty much everything. He's our guardian angel at MCG. So,
yeah. So hello, everybody. My name is Javier. Not lead designer, but just graphic designer. Graphic designer, not. So I handle the visuals, not the writing. Because I know we do. We have like designer usually refers to the game designers, of course, so it's more of on the production art side. So I would say that. So yeah, recent hire there, and very excited to be here. Thank you for having me. And hello. And so what I do a lot of book layout these days, and then filling in for little things in between, like our 10th anniversary T-shirt design that you can see on our screen here. It was something I also got to do. So every once in a while I get to fill in little odds and ends of illustration and some extra design bits that get featured on our products, on our promotional items, things like that.
how long have you been with MCG?
So full-time, just started this year in May.
Woo!
So very excited, full-time. And I would say that before that, I was kind of working on a freelance basis, so doing contract work, and that's been a number of years. That I didn't look up how long, but we've worked on. I think one of the first things I came on to do was like the prop set, one of the prop sets for Invisible Sun. So there were like business cards for fictitious characters and menus for like a restaurant that in the world, and so these in-setting items that came in and kind of spruced up and made look pretty cool. And I've been.
Javier, do you know if that was prop set 1 or prop set 2?
Prop set 2 is the one I got to work on.
That's the one that I designed.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. So airship ticket and like high five. Yeah. It's that one was a lot of fun because there might have been something else I came on to do before that, because I know that I was, the things I've primarily been doing has been book layout for Monte Cook games. So I might have done like one layout project for that. I don't remember now which one it would have been around that time.
Have they taken you down to the secret MCG layer yet? Or is that, Sean, is that after 1 year, he's an official member, then he goes to the secret society room?
I think we're holding off on that while the COVID pandemic is still an issue.
Yeah.
But it's the secret tunnels under our warehouse that lead to the gigantic game room with all the gold goblets and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Hey, Sean, for anyone that's been living under a rock, what do you do for MCG?
I am a designer and developer at MCG, which means that I write books and I take the manuscripts from the other designers and look for problems and hopefully make them better. And before that, I worked on Pathfinder and D&D and a bunch of other things all over various game industry stuff.
Nice.
Awesome.
What a resume.
Yeah. And he personally wrote my favorite book, Stay Alive, so I'm just gonna throw it out there.
He wrote my favorite book, Claim the Sky. So I mean, look at that. And then my second favorite book is Stay Alive. So it just works out.
Do we have Tallis fans here?
Oh, of
Oh,
course.
absolutely.
Nice. I've been.
I had the original Tallis for 3.0.
Oh, nice.
And so I go like way back with that. The Tallis and Diamond Throne, the minute they were both mentioned, I was acting like a kid in candy stores, running around in circles around the house, whooping.
Nice, exciting. Yeah. So those were some of not the original Tallis, because that's the one that Bear handled, but I got to do City of Adventure late last year and do layout for that one. So those 3 kind of adventure sets that came out in that one, and then we did a digital only release of like the old some of the older adventures that never got the update treatment, like
Bane Warrens and Night of Dissolution.
Yes, Bane Warrens and Night of Dissolution. So those 2 digital things that Sean also, were some of Sean's babies. I got to come in and do kind of a new layout for, and I highly recommend those PDFs, although they're not in printed form, which maybe one day they will be. They look good. We got to kind of go through and, kind of rework some of the art, bring in some new stuff, and really kind of spruce them up, clean them up.
Yeah, I actually ran a Night of Dissolution one on a stream, and or was that Bane Warrens? Whichever one, but that was the one you paid me a compliment on, Sean, where he said the group went off the rails, and just easily I took them right back into it. They never even knew that they were off the rails. Good stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's like a labyrinth of content for that one.
It's definitely awesome to see you guys revisiting stuff, making things look a little nicer. It's definitely awesome to see that. But this kind of the chat, I don't know if you're in the Twitch chat here, but Bear is actually here. And that was kind of a great segue into what I want to talk about next here. So, Bear sent us this weird image before we started tonight. It's very strange. You can kind of see in the corner here, but I'm going to pop it up big for everybody to see. So, is there anything you two could tell us about this? Maybe Javier, I know he's a buddy with Bear. Maybe he could tell us a little more about it. But it's quite intriguing. I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I think Bear knew exactly what he was doing when he sent these over. But I'm only allowed to say...
He did say they were exclusive. He specifically
this is a pretty big deal reveal, right?
Yeah.
So you're supposed to tune in tomorrow for the end of the campaign to hear more. And no other info, no nothing, no confirmation on anything else. That's all we're allowed to say.
All right, chat. So everybody in chat, let's let the speculation begin.
Yes.
Yeah, I have ideas, but we're to see what you people say as well.
No, no, Dean, what you said off camera for the first image to the left, that absolutely screams post-apocalyptic to me. So I'm gonna. That's
Oh,
you know, I'm wrong like
please.
95% of the time, but there's that 5% chance that I'm right, and 5% I'm right every time. So I'm going with that post-apocalyptic.
Like I said, I believe these images are for 2 new books in the you know, the toolkit series with the white bindings, the backgrounds. I'm just hollering post-apocalyptic and modern fantasy. That's what
I
I'm
will
saying.
say the images are absolutely gorgeous.
And
I'm gonna
and
pop
I
a big one
cannot
big
wait.
time.
I cannot wait, and I'm asking again. You know what? Make prints for those 2, because I mean I have the others, but I would like to add Claim the Sky and those 2 to those prints. Just throwing it out there.
I will add that
Oh,
I privately messaged Monty and I said about one of those 2 covers, I said, I am calling dibs on writing some or all of this. And he gave me a thumbs up.
That's actually a really good hint because we know what Sean likes to write. So
Yes.
I
I
said
think
nothing.
Wait a
I
minute.
said nothing, Bear.
So just real quick, I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm saying Sean's writing one and Charles is writing the other one, or is gonna have something heavy to do with it. Because
if Charles is writing anything in this, it's post-apocalyptic.
that's what I'm
bet my
saying.
left kidney on that.
And that's what I'm saying, because we already know. And for anybody who doesn't know it, Charles has a slant on sci-fi storytelling that is freaking phenomenal. If you haven't done it yet, go out and get a copy of Castaways.
Dean,
Great.
before we get off track, before we even move on to our questions, what little questions we do have, but before we move on to those, right? Can you tell us who the artist was for these 2 images?
I believe I could tell you who they were, but
Roberto or Mirko?
I will say they are gorgeous. I'm gonna pull them.
yeah.
I have to pull them up big one more time, just in case anybody. They're big on the screen now. This is again. We're speculating here. We have no idea what it is, other than Sean is writing heavily for one of them. But it's gorgeous. Like I cannot wait to see what these books are.
Yeah.
And
So yeah.
got so much stuff now. Is that a devil or a gargoyle in the second?
Listen,
Bear in the chat. Just yeah. So I was wondering if we could say the name, but yes, we can. So it's Roberto Pituru, which is you know, you'll probably recognize that name from other art at MCG.
He's done a lot for us, yeah.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah, those are. Oh my god.
And come on, Anthony. You know, we said Charles post-apocalyptic, and I mean, you do see on that picture, you do see the crow, right? You do see the crow whistler. Wait, come on.
Yeah, we could do a whole thing on just these 2 images.
Yeah.
We really could.
Now my mind is racing when Sean said I want to write like almost all of his books.
Like I said, I'm not. We're there.
Well, yeah. Well, like Bear said, you have to tune in tomorrow at the end of our campaign, which is coming up. You know, it's like we've got less than a day now, and we're close to that 400K goal, which it would be actually a pretty good resource. Like I think if we got to players, kind of a player starter, kind of glimmer book for like handing out to your players if you're like trying to get them in the setting for Numenera, I think that would be a great kind of starter guide so that people don't have to peek at the GM book, you know? And,
I'm knocking that in. You guys are going to hit that stretch.
That would be, I would love that. Yeah, that's a good one. I feel like some of these stretch goals, I'm just really excited by it because they're not just filler stuff. Like, right, we take some time to really think about what we're putting in there and make things that are going to be really exciting for people, for GMs. So
traditionally, like the last 8 hours of any MCG crowdfunded project gets a good push.
It's madness.
Yeah, so I'm expecting that stretch goal definitely to hit and possibly
yeah.
the next one.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I'm excited about it. I know that we're on backer kit, so like spreading the word is important. Even if you've already, I think, backed, I think it's one where discoverability is not quite the same as it's been on other, on other times. So, definitely kind of sharing and letting people know, like even if you've done your part, I think it's helpful. It's helpful to kind of get the word out and get people excited about it.
And this is something that we're doing because we're always trying to improve our crowdfunding practices. And one thing we've been doing for recent ones in the past 3 or 4, I guess, is that on the day that the campaign closes, we have an update that says, oh, by the way, here's the next thing we're going to do, just to get people excited and interested about that. So that's why we're saying, hey, take a look at the Weird in the last 24 hours and back it so you can see what sort of a sneak preview we're going to give you.
Yeah, because I think it's backers that get it, right? It's a campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the backers that get the preview, not necessarily everybody, but you know,
I know we said this multiple times before on multiple videos, but when you back an MCG product on the crowdfunded side, you always get triple to quadruple the amount of your money. You know, when you back at the everything level, we've done the math on every Kickstarter for the last 3 years. You always get at least 4 times the amount in value in the amount of money you put in. So, you know, it's a no-brainer for us and for majority of our viewers that, you know, when you're to back your crowdfunding, because the financial value is just through the roof.
And not just like that, but you know, the content is always so good.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I haven't really been disappointed. You know, everything has its place. You know, and it's just we're talking about things that have in places. I'm gonna, you know, this was a question we had initially had for Monty, but I'm gonna switch it around and just say, you know, elements of weirdness have always been prevalent in, you know, the game design from MCG, Numenera, Invisible Sun. You know, you guys work on Planescape. Can you envision this product, you know, being used with any of the settings? And if so, have you play tested any? You know, or what system would you be using, you know, by testing out the Weird? And that's for Sean and you.
Oh, hold on a second. I don't want to cut you off, Dean, but before you ask that question, for someone that hasn't watched the previous video, what exactly is the Weird? For someone that hasn't watched the Weird, so just give us a quick, you know, rundown of what the Weird is first.
The Weird, if I may, is just it's a setting neutral, system neutral, genre neutral resource with just tons and tons of random results, ranging from mildly weird to super gonzo weird, and it's always to make your campaign more interesting and fun. Whether it's like, I need a quirk for this NPC so that the players will think they're memorable. I need a weird twist on this adventure idea. I need something weird to make this town not just a regular generic town. I want a quirk for my character's spellcasting. I want something odd about this artifact or this magic item. And the idea is you're just going to be able to roll on a table and get some weird result, like, oh yeah, this person, they have a horrible head cold, and every time they sneeze, like a butterfly comes out of their mouth, and that's weird. Yes. Or, oh, this character, they have a vestigial twin that occasionally, you know, perks up and says something. Or every time you use this magic item, you have to yell a song lyric really loud. It's ways to help get your campaign out of the doldrums of, oh yes, it's just another generic fantasy with dwarves and elves. Like, oh, you know what? Elves in my campaign, they can change their height up or down by 1 foot because that's a weird result on the table. Just weird stuff like that. That's what the Weird is.
Yeah. So, and just to highlight again, it's like, you know, it's a resource book. Setting neutral resource book is the kind of one half of a Weird campaign right now. And the other thing I want to highlight is that range, right? So like, from, if you don't like super gonzo, like Weird, we got like just a little bit of spice, and then, you know, the extra spice for the people that want to go all in. And these are all of our great writers sitting down and putting their design, you know, kind of thinking caps on to really come up with the lists and, you know, the categories that are going to make this really interesting. So,
Javier, speaking of ranges, could you break down what the ranges are?
Yeah. I probably could. Let me take a look, because I need the refresher here.
Don't worry, we refresh it too. Our notes are jumbled mess right now.
Yeah. It's so I know Gonzo is the highest thing, right? But so we've got, and interesting is sort of our lower level. Sean, do you remember these categories off the top of your head?
You know, I've been so deep in Old Gods of Appalachia for the past few weeks that I have lost track of those categories myself. Again, this is
I-
a work
I
of
remember
last minute
them.
replacement
I
kit.
also remember them
I
surprisingly.
remember them. So, you start out with interesting.
Yeah.
And interesting adds a modicum of question, why is this different? As you walk into a room and the robot, the cat is blood red,
Yeah.
interesting, but you walk into for next would be surprising. And like you
Failure,
said,
yes.
surprising, the example that was used was, this said same cat speaks all the languages in the world. That's kind of surprising, that a cat is actually, it's interesting and surprising. Then we move over to Gonzo, which is like completely and totally out there. Not only, not only does the cat, speak all the languages in the world, is blood red, but every time he coughs up a fur ball, it's another version of himself, maybe in a different color,
That's
doing the
awesome,
same
by the way.
thing. And then of course, finally, whimsical is the last one, which gives you that whole concept of the fairy tale idea. So said same cat, instead of having just being blood red, he's got these beautiful butterfly wings, and when he flies, you hear a lullaby.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
So, Dean, I'm going to need you to sign a release form. So
you got it, easy peasy.
Type Rugger, Type 5 Rugger added in chat. I'll add an extra 20 to my pledge if you create a new range from Weird 1 to MCG Weird.
the high end is going to be really weird. Like we made Numenera, which is a weird setting, and we made the Strange, which is a strange setting, and
Invisible
Sun,
Sun.
which is a surreal setting. And we're just going to be like, yeah, you want all that? Here's where you just
Yeah.
It's going to go up to. It's not going to go up to 10. It's going to go up to 11.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
But,
trust me, I believe that one.
Yeah. And of course that like some of these ideas and lists are already up in like a primer. So there's a free PDF download on the backer kit page, and you'll get to see some of what Bear's envisioning. Bear being our art director and our writers, Monty and all the writers that kind of came in for design. Sean probably jumped in some ideas for this, and so you'll get to see some of what we're talking about if you kind of want to take a look and kind of peek ahead. So that's always cool. And then Sean also brought up Numenera, which is important to talk about because that's the other half of this. And we've got something we're doing that for that setting, which has always been a little bit weird, right? It's sort of a deep post-apocalyptic, like long after civilizations, have been forgotten, that created God knows what technology, right? And that one is a weird setting, and we've never done a kind of a starter adventure for that setting. So that's something that we're doing for this, and I think that's really gonna hook a lot of new players into this world that's rich, and we've got so many books already out for it. So
I've been describing that book, which is called The Glimmering Valley. I've been describing it in D&D terms as it's like the village of Hamlet and Keep on the Borderlands for Numenera, where it's like you were getting a starting town, you're having all this information on all these NPCs and all the stuff that they're doing. And then there's an adventuring site you can go to and deal with all the horrible crap that's there. But it's like, hey, I've been wanting to run a Numenera campaign, but I don't really have like the time to prep like a starting settlement that has a lot of detail for my players to interact with. Glimmering Valley is going to be that.
You know why I love the idea of Glimmering Valley is because as someone who deals with a lot of new people to Numenera, they almost get the where do I start at? There's so many books, I don't know where to start a game at. And this is like the perfect start. Not only is it the perfect starting point for new players, a veteran player now has a whole new playground they could sit in and go, hey, I got this idea, but I don't want to, I don't want to put it in Steadfast. I could just put it in this place and start a whole new campaign and just running. So I thought this was ingenious, to be honest.
Well, I can honestly tell you one of the things, and I'm throwing it out there for those in the world, use this idea. I'm going to take it and turn it into my ultimate Numenera one-shot generator for demos. It's going to be, because this way everybody got a starting place, they get it, but I can generate a bunch of different ideas just from that one setting as, demos. And then if I ever get to revisit them, then I know where I started at.
Before we go on to Glimmering Valley, because we definitely want to ask some more questions about Glimmering Valley. I just want to go back a little bit to the weird. You know, in the crowd backer press kit, your guys state that you have provided literally thousands and thousands of specific suggestions that you pull straight out from this book, right? And you're going to inject it to your ventures, your campaigns, your encounters, whatever, right? Will they be separated by genre? And do you offer advice to use this book from the extensive settings that Monte Cook Games already produces? Like, say, I don't know, maybe Godforsaken or Stay Alive?
I don't know about referring specifically to some of our settings, but obviously some of them will have, like, if, hey, you're talking about a fantasy setting that has a post-apocalyptic feel, you know, you're going to be drawing on those tables, and you could use them for almost said Godforsaken, Gods of the Fall. We are still coming up with ideas for that. Like Bruce and Monty have had a bit of a head start in coming up, but just Bruce, who was out last week and now is back, he's like, he was waiting in the lobby of a car place getting his car worked on. He's like, oh, let's do, actually, I'm just going to skip ahead to the Weird Design channel. And
Sean. Even those teasers, I love it.
I know.
I wouldn't be able to say any of these things, so I'm glad you have Sean here to give you.
Yeah, it's like, you trying to get me sent to HR?
Nope, not me.
So you
John
trying to
can
get
say
me
whatever he
fired? I
wants.
just started here, man.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Gonna make me go see the sensitivity counselor.
I mean, stuff like Bruce is coming up with like, oh, weird superpowers and weird song lyrics and just all sorts of weird categories. Because even if one of the designers comes up with 5 or 10 cool ideas to go into that, we're using Google Docs for all this. And so Shauna can come by and be like, oh, I've got 5 ideas for some cool superpowers. And Dominique can be like, oh, I've got, 10 ideas for some weird song lyrics or whatever. So we're all contributing to all of this. And then I, as a developer, when all of the design is done, it's going to come to me to be like, all right, how is the best way to categorize this? Can we refine any of these categories? Do we need to split any of them out? Do any of these need to be like zhuzhed a bit into different genres and stuff? So it's the whole idea is that it's supposed to be really, really flexible. And even if you are playing a fantasy game, there's no reason why you couldn't go to one of the sci-fi tables and be like, I'm going to do a weird thing. It's like, oh yeah, you know what? The bartender in this city is a robot. He's the only robot in the setting. Why? You don't know. That's a mystery. Do your characters want to interact with them and try and figure out where they're coming from? Maybe that ties into Arcana of the Ancients. Maybe there's something like Expedition to the Barrier Peaks where a robot escaped and they have, learned the common language and they're just trying to fit in. Like the whole point of this book is it's inspiring you with weird things to add to your campaign to make it new and different and cool.
Yeah, and the visuals that we got some previews of the artwork that came in, that gets ordered early. Some of the art gets ordered early and some of it, will be ordered as more things get ironed out. But the stuff that's coming in is just incredible. Like the talented artists that got, pretty much a blank slate to a couple of directions and just ran with it. I know Bear talked about that when he was on a little, but you can go there and you can see for yourself, like on the page, some of the art that's coming in.
Your guys are really, really taking it to the next level with the art on the weird. This is like next level,
Yeah.
Your art, the MCG is always evocative and it always speaks to the creative, but this is like Anthony saying, it's kind of next level because it's kind of like, it's like twofold. It's almost like the pictures are supporting the the verbiage, but the verbiage is literally, inspired by the picture itself, like what came first, the picture or the idea.
Yeah. And I really wish Monty was here tonight. And when he does come by, you got to ask him about the stuff. Cause he's, I know that he worked really closely with Bear to develop some of the vision that's for, inspiring and setting the look for the weird.
On a separate weird note, Mike, our good friend Mike in chat said, when did Sean grow a beard?
It happens periodically.
Yeah, this is just like a week of not shaving, so it's not a big deal. I was going to say about the art, we are fortunate now that we are caught up and actually ahead enough in our schedule for planning these things that we can get art ahead of time and use it to inspire stuff. And quite often that lets us just give an artist free reign to do something weird, and the designers are getting go, wow, that's great, I'm going to take that and do a thing with it. Like some of that we did for Planebreaker, which was just artist cool stuff, and we ended up writing cool text about it. For the Numenera Bestiary 3, a lot of that was just, hey, artists, make up some weird Numenera monsters. And they just drew monsters and gave us the sketches. And while they were working on the finals, Bruce and I are like, I'm calling dibs on that, and that, and that. And we stabbed up those things. And obviously, a lot of those creatures ended up in Beasts of Flesh and Steel and Arcana of the Ancients, because Numenera creatures were brought over to 5e.
That is incredible. I did not know that. That is an awesome process to be able to, instead of giving the artist some description or what you have written already, you're writing based off what they're that's super cool. I love it.
like I said, that's what I said. I dig it because I've seen pictures or heard a piece of music and it made me inspired to do something. But now, like you said, using that process is awesome. It's awesome to hear somebody does it as well.
Yeah, but we were touching on this a little bit before. So let's circle back again. Glimmering Valley, right? So we already know from what you guys said and what we already know, that's going to be a great starting point for new adventurers and veterans alike for Numenera. Besides a whole new location to adventure in, will it have additional content like pre-written adventures, creatures, ciphers, artifacts, and/or new foci?
I don't know about new foci, but yeah, Monty is doing the majority of the design on this, if not all of it. And I don't think he could stop himself from writing more creatures and other character options and equipment and artifacts and things like that. He's just Monty has not written anything for Numenera in a couple of years. I think the last one was one of the Explorer's Keys books. So he's probably been itching to do this for a while. And he's like, oh yeah, I've got all these Numenera ideas. He's run a couple of mini Numenera campaigns for us that he's probably just seeding with stuff that he thought up for there. So yeah, don't worry, it'll have all sorts of cool stuff that players and GMs will enjoy.
That's awesome to hear.
Super creative.
Javier, are you going to help on the layout on that as well?
Yeah, I'll get pulled in for different things. I know we've got, I'm looking at some of the things we've unlocked, right? So Bear is really taking charge, I think, with some of this. And one of the things that I'm excited about is for the deluxe version is, he met with some of our Transcon, who does our kind of a book publishing, and he met with one of their paper reps to kind of see what we can do that's different, that's new, how we can kind of push the design envelope. And one of the things that came out on this is it's already been revealed here, and it's I feel like it's a big deal in terms of what we're making. But that translucent dust jacket, we're printing on a translucent material for this, and we've got the window that opens up into the awesome art on the book, and the book itself has a metallic sheen that we're going to get on it. So all those little perks are going to be really, it's going to look so good. So the deluxe version, highly recommend. And then of course we got the bookmarks that we're going to do, foil stamped, and I think we might do some other treatments to it. But and then we're doing even, so that's really cool. I think those books are just going to be really beautiful when those hit the shelf, and so definitely get the deluxe version on that one. The other thing I was going to mention is usually what I'll do is, so Bear will kind of take the kind of lead on some of the big design, and so he'll set kind of a look, but he's got to be pulled onto a dozen different things. So when it comes to taking that design and applying it to the card decks, or when we get to work on those, I usually come in and help with supplemental stuff. For example, just to give you an example, Path of the Planebreaker, which is out now, Bear took the lead on. Yeah, he took the lead on the design for the main book, and then I come in and I've got we're in the process of wrapping up the Planar Bestiary, 5e, and so the layout's done. It's got the core look, but now I come in and handle this book while he's working on this Kickstarter, while he's working on on other fires that needs to get tended to, like ordering art orders and the assets that need to go for the backer kit and
the minis.
The minis, yeah, dealing with minis, and the next couple of things that are like happening behind the scenes that I can't talk about. but yeah, so I'll definitely come in. We've got a sticker sheet for this, for example, like setting up the production files for for the die cut with our manufacturers. It's production work, so it's straightforward, but it's also a chance to make things fun, right? Like I'm pretty sure for a sticker sheet, we're gonna get to do some fun die cuts on those and make them look good and make them match everything else. So yeah, so that's kind of the stuff I get to do now. Like after planar bestiary 5e, I've got, of course, to do the planar bestiary for CS, and right now kind of deep into Path of the Plane Breaker CS. So the Cypher system version of the book that's out. So it's like, juggling multiple things at once. And yeah, so I get to I probably will get to work on the weird in some way, for sure, for absolute sure.
I'm excited for we like 5e, but we Cypher guys, if you haven't noticed,
Yeah.
I'm excited for the Cypher versions of
Yeah, I've looked at Path of the Plane Breaker. I've actually read the Tyrant's Key. That's the Cypher version, and the 5e version. But I want my Cypher book.
Oh, it's gonna be great. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Sean can probably tease some of that out. To what you can expect or something.
I was actually just going to say, I really appreciate that MCG doesn't silo various departments. Like Bear and Javier are great about saying, not just like, hey, here's a sketch of the creature that you asked an artist to do, like, is there any changes that need to be done on this? But stuff like Javier, you just came to us yesterday and said, how about this different layout for this book? Because I'm trying to fit this information like this. Could I put a box around it and do this a 2-column sort of thing? And it looks good to me, and it looked good to everybody. And so it's a very dynamic back and forth of, hey, I want to make this look really cool. And like part of Bear and Javier's job is to take all the crazy text that we write and make it fit on a page and make it readable and make it easily referenceable when you're trying to use it in the middle of a game.
Yeah, and fit the art. Yeah, totally. And like, and there's there's like thousands of unspoken rules in the way we lay out books. Bear is kind of the keeper of knowledge, so I'm always the one who's like, Bear, can we do this? And he's like, well, we don't usually do that. This is what we do instead. Or that sounds good to me. Like, let's run it by the design team, which is and so it's like, for me, it's like playing Tetris on a page, right? I'm trying to give all of our customers and our GMs and our players, I'm trying to give you like as much art as I can. I'm trying to give you as much info as I can that's easy to read. And so because I think I'm coming in as fresh, sometimes I'm like, hey, Bear, have you tried this thing? And it'll give us a little more room to make the art bigger or something. And he's like, that sounds good. Or no, this doesn't work because so all those little things. And there are just a lot of little tiny decisions that we get to make. But I know that it's not just me making the decision, and I can't just do whatever I want. I have to kind of run it by the keepers of knowledge to kind of keep our products consistent, because we aspire to kind of a high caliber for our books, and I know that Bear has all of these rules in his head. Like I know we've tried to write some of them down, and they change a little each time. So it's it's just a thousand rules unspoken.
We do that for text too. Like we have a style guide for writing stuff for Numenera and for Cypher System, but things get busy and sometimes that doesn't get updated for a year and we get a bit of drift and we're like, oh, we actually aren't supposed to be doing it this way
anymore.
But we actually do like doing it that way. So we're going to update our style doc saying, no, this is now acceptable. And I think the fact that we are flexible within our own guidelines and to the responses and the expertise from the rest of the team is so great. Like everybody has such a respect for the talent of the editors and the designers and the
Yeah, our
graphic designers.
editors.
And so it's just like, yeah, you know, if I have input for Javier is going to listen to it. But when it comes down to it, like, he's a graphic designer and he's the person who's hired because he knows how to make something look really good. And so we've just got a really good rapport at making our books look as awesome as they can be. And it's just
Totally.
a great
Yeah.
team.
I'm gonna shout out our kind of our managing editor on a couple books recently, Terry Latorco, and she does our production managing as well. But she's also another keeper of knowledge, and she's one that, like, you know, makes sure that, you know, we strike the right balance of like sticking to the rules and being flexible. Because at the end of the day, even though she's an editor, she wants to make it as cool as possible. So there's times when, like, yeah, that's not technically like correct to the rules, but she likes it for style, and so she's gonna let it pass for style. That goes for text and for other things. So yeah, we have such a great team.
It's really nice to get these insights into the inner workings, and it, you know, gives you kind of an understanding and a view, you know, of you know, things to attempt as you're learning to navigate this realm of creativity.
Totally. I mean, imagine how like technical our books are, right? We've got tables, we have lists, we have definitions, we have, you know, like multiple headers. We give you like, it's you know, we give you numbered lists, we give you bulleted lists, and you know, each of them have like their own format. So like we really use all the formats in our books. So, you know, tabletop writing is very technical is very technical kind of writing that you don't really see in like just a novel or something, right? Like it's not going to be
Exactly.
And then you make it really cool. Like, just if you take a look at the PDF download preview from the Weird, like,
yeah,
Javier and Javier are already pushing boundaries on how to go and present this information and make it look, you know, weird and fun. Like, just even the look of the text on the page is fun and creative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the preview is gorgeous.
Yeah, I love the
And very
preview.
legible, easy to read. Because
Yeah.
I think that's one of accessible. I think that's one, as a consumer of RPG products, when I see a layout, which MCG is phenomenal for, is how easy it is for me to read and to find the information I'm looking for in the moment of a game.
yeah.
Right? And your guys have a great way of having it legible, but yet it's still easy enough for me to go, hey, I need to pull this creature, I need this one stat block. Where do I find it? How do I find it?
Yep.
You know, the guys
Navigation.
do a great job of that.
Page
Yeah,
references, yeah.
Book navigation is always awesome.
Those call outs. We
Right.
got you with those call outs.
And
Oh yeah,
before-
absolutely.
oh,
That's Monty started so many years ago, and it's probably one of the best things. And you see, and it's been adopted across the board in a lot of different places. A lot of people are using it now. But we're talking about this, you know, talking about all of this good stuff. Let's talk a little bit more about this project. You know, I mean, you guys have funded projects not only, you know, and they normally have good stretch goals and lots of stretch goals. This one had a ton of add-ons to purchase as well. So we've got weird dice, miniatures, 2 decks. Now, can you guys like speak a little bit, tell us a little bit about the weird deck and the sight deck?
I guess that's a me question. We haven't really decided yet. I mean, we're working on the text of the Weird, and we're working on the text of the Glimmering Valley, but we're not really sure what we're going to do about those decks just yet. The easiest way to do it would just be to take stuff from the books and stick it in the decks, but that is not as fun and creative as we would normally like to do. So I suspect that it's going to have a lot of new material in it, and some of it might be inspired by it. Like, you might say, oh, here's this element on a table in the Weird, and there's something similar to that in the deck, but the deck has its own spin on it. And there's a cool location in the Glimmering Valley, and here's something similar to that in the Weird deck. But again, it's going to have its own thing. It's like when we made the new GM Intrusion deck, which initially we said we're going to take this old GM Intrusion deck, which had a small number of cards, and it was all mixed in, where you had combat intrusions and social intrusions and miscellaneous intrusions. And initially it was just like, well, we could just take that and put that into a 100-card deck. And then Charles said, you know what, it'd be really, really, really cool if every single one of those 100 cards had a combat intrusion, a social intrusion, and a miscellaneous intrusion. So as the designer of that project, I'm like, all right, I am coming up with basically 65 cards worth of new intrusions, 3 each. So that's, 180 some odd intrusions for that project. So yes, if you have the original Numenera deck, you might find some similar things in there, but the new one is going to have a whole bunch more. And so that's what we want to do with the Weird deck and the Sites deck is, yes, we have this existing stuff. Let's do more.
I got it. I'm gonna just throw it out here. One of these things, that Weird deck and that Site deck would be really nice if you put 3 different colors or something like that, and you laid the cards down, one of each color, and it would always give you a weird statement or a weird site or something along that line. Just something to throw out there.
Just so everyone knows, the Site deck is associated with Glimmering Valley, correct?
Mhm. Side deck is for Glimmering Valley, and the Weird deck will be kind of setting neutral, kind of resource deck. Yeah. The dice, I know we have this these really strange silicon bouncy dice that are just a little bit, they've got that swirly color thing on them, which I think is going to be pretty fun on table. We've been starting to reveal some of our minis, which, they're still, I think some of these are even a little preliminary. We've been revising some of the designs on the ones that are on there to get them just right. But they're coming in and they're looking really good too. So,
Yeah, the minis look awesome. The first line of minis you guys have is awesome as well. You guys have been really, hitting up with different add-ons. You always change it up. I'm always excited now to see what all the add-ons are. And this crowd backer is no different. It's weird not seeing you guys on Kickstarter, but crowd backer has been actually pleasantly surprising how smooth and easy it is to work on. So I'm not gonna lie, I was a little hesitant at first, but they made a convincer out of it. They convinced me. So
yeah, I think it's a natural kind of extension for the old ecosystem with Kickstarter, because backer kit would always come in and handle some of the fulfillment and all that stuff anyway. So it's I think it's an easier transition for a lot of people to kind of jump over. So I hope that I can't speak to what everyone will decide to stay or not. That'll definitely be a Monty and Charles and other people's decision to kind of go over some of that data and info.
I just had this weird thing happen to me. I'm sorry, I'm gonna interrupt like that.
Yeah.
But Al, put that picture up one more time, just before
Bro, we're really going. All right, yeah,
we gotta go there. We gotta go there.
1 second. Okay, it's there.
He's probably been thinking about this for the last 30 minutes.
It is up.
Okay, now, are you sure you can't just glean just a little insight into those 2 images? Because I'm saying there's so much going on there. I mean, I see Akira and what is that? Just bits of, and Sean. See, I see the wheels turning. Sean's thinking stuff.
Oh shit! I'm sorry for my French, but I finally saw the crow, dude.
Yeah, see what I'm
When
saying?
you said the crow, I was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Now I see it.
It's there, man. That's what I'm saying. Oh man. Okay.
It's funny because you will find that all your speculation is completely wrong, and tomorrow you realize that those are just my 2 new tattoos.
Oh my god!
Sean, if you see any of our speculation videos, we're 99% wrong in every single one of them. So it wouldn't be the first time.
All right.
I want to jump back really quick because right before you asked what's going to be in the Weird deck and the Sites deck, it's kind of funny because you're just oh, this Kickstarter, blah blah. And I was just thinking in my head, the Weird is kind of a small Kickstarter for us because it's only making 2 books, and as the person who writes the books, that is kind of the framework that I think of. Oh, there's just 2 books in this entire project, and I just forget that there are decks and dice and miniatures and all these other things because I don't make those things, but that's like Bear and Javier and Charles all thinking up stuff. So it's just kind of funny that like my focus is on the 2 actual books, even though the 2 decks also have words in them that I or someone else will write. But it's just like, nope, this is what we're making, these 2 books. Everything else is just magic that happens all by itself.
Has there been any ideas that have just been too dang weird?
No, I think we have recategorized some stuff like Monty, like Bruce threw out some ideas and Monty says, oh, I think that should probably go over in this category. But I don't think there's nothing that's too far out there. Like we have a Gonzo category. That's kind of like what it's there for. Like, oh, person has a second head and it's growing out of their butt. Sure, why not?
What is it? Bruce is watching this right now. Write that down. Bruce wrote so many things down when we were talking about the weird.
Second head out of butt? That is gold! Yeah, Bruce was writing stuff down that the chat was saying last time we was here. Oh, I like that. That's a good idea.
I mean, you guys did your speculation video about Claim the Sky, and I watched that and I wrote down all the stuff you suggested because you had great ideas. So.
But it was incredible to see it in real time though. It was literally happening. Pulled out a pen and pad, started jotting things down. It's like, dang, I didn't realize it was in this active development.
I mean, just Sean, you know how we feel about, you've seen our videos, but all your toolkit books have been nothing, me and Dean talk about, is like our inspiration for not only GM Roulette, but just the way you did Stay Alive, the way you did Claim the Sky is, I don't know, it was like they were like tailor-made for me and Dean. Those are
I mean, it's like, you can't get enough of them. You really can't. I mean, and honestly, all of them, because we had to revisit them when we started talking about them. When you revisit them, it's like, oh my God, it's a new insight. It's like, head blown all over again. And I read Stay Alive like 3 times the first night I got it. When you guys sent the PDF, and then I just went back to it because I got to run a Halloween adventure. And it's like, oh my God, this stuff is so sweet.
And then Dean knows how I feel about horror games. So he was like, you got to read Stay Alive. I was like, I just downloaded. No, you got to read Stay Alive.
I read it like 3 times the first night. And it's like, it's just one of those books. And
I'm the resident horror guy in our tree.
Yeah. Well, I gotta ask, what are y'all coming out to Gamehole Con? And if so, are you running games? Are you
coming in force? We're coming in force.
Yeah, and we could definitely run some games if you want.
That sounds exciting.
Oh yeah.
I want to run Tidal Blades.
Oh yeah, Tidal Blades is awesome.
Hey, listen, you got that. Sean, I sent you that blurb that I wrote. And I have some preliminary stuff. I want to run you in that particular thing. You can meet the Crow Whistler.
No, I want to play the Crow Whistler.
Oh, perfect. Even better.
Hey guys, Bear last week, Sean, you kind of touched on this a little, but Bear last week, he got to show us the mock-up of Stealing Stories from the Devil, and so it got us to thinking of some of the, the not only the projects you have now on Kickstarter, but how some of those other projects that were, currently crowd-backed going along, like how Old Gods of Appalachia, is that on schedule? How Stealing Stories for the Devil, is there anything you guys could tell us about those projects?
I know that Bear did show off the box for Stealing Stories. I'm not sure how much he said.
So I just recently watched that video. He looked at it was basically the proof copy where he could say stuff like, oh, this sheet needs to go on top because it needs to be the first thing that you read. So he has a set of notes and he sends those back to the printer and then they're going to print the full print run. So that's where that is. Javier, you have a better idea of where the Planebreaker books are in production.
Yeah, they're coming along. I think so far everybody, no one's screaming at me or chopping my head off, so I think everything's on time. That's usually a good sign for me. And no, we're on schedule for those. We are in layout, I think, and still we've got our dates reserved with the book printers, and we've our timeline for when those come into the warehouse seems okay to be on schedule from what I understand. And yeah, I think it's a little trickier, I think, with the overseas printing right now, because stuff overseas is like has a really wild swingy delay. Like it's supposed to be getting better, but then there was a typhoon, and then I don't know, like we still have a couple of things we do turn to China to get printed, but a lot of our stuff, our books, with the only books, they're going to Transcon, which is in Canada, and so that we can rely on those dates a lot better. And you know, if there are any troubles coming up, you'll probably hear good messaging, because I think Charles is and our, you know, Latia and Tammy are always really good about kind of communicating any trouble we have early. But from what I understand, things are on time, and so like you said, we're working on Planebreaker right now, and Planebreaker has, you know, obviously we have Pathfinder Planebreakers out, so you know that the game is designed for 5e. We've got the CS version, we've got the bestiary book for 5e, and the bestiary book for CS. Those are 3 books that are on their way. And then we've got 2 card decks that are the monster cards, and we've got character options as well that's in the pipeline. So, you know, there's plenty of layout happening while Old Gods development is going on, right? Like some of that stuff is going on, and I know Bear handles mostly that one because it's it's a very important product right now. So he's kind of helming the initial design on that.
And Old Gods is kind of more complicated for us than other books, because when the designers, which is mostly Shauna and Dominique, I'm doing a little bit, mostly in creatures, when they finish a design chunk, we pass it off to Tammy, because Tammy is our expert on, you know, actual Appalachia. She grew up there. And then it gets rolled over to Steve and Cam for their creative approval. And so they give us notes, and then those things get revised. So we're doing a series of rolling turnovers to them of the design. And when those come back, then they can get updated and then go to the editors. So that's a bit more complicated than our stuff that we design for ourselves completely internally. But yeah, it's all rolling along.
Looking crazy.
There's a couple of other things I think we're starting to work out early, and then I don't know if I can mention those yet, though.
Can I ask a quick question about you mentioned the cards for Pathfinder Planebreaker. There's going to be 5e and Cypher version cards?
No. Yes, is there? Okay,
yes.
Is that the way it
2
was?
different decks. There's the 5e resource deck and the CS resource deck.
Okay, yeah.
5e resource deck is done. I rolled that over to Terry right after Gen Con. And the CS resource deck is on pause right now because they needed me to work on some Old God stuff in turn for the end of September deadline. But once I finish that, I go back to doing the CS cards, and then I will finish my developer's review on the CS Planar Bestiary, I believe.
Yeah, so just to give you an idea of like how it rolls out. So there's like design work that, you know, anything that works with the text happens first. And it's got to go through some back and forth with like Sean and our editors, and, you know, in like Old God's case, when he was talking about the process, that's all still working with just the words. At some point that gets cleared and it goes into layout. And that's when I see it or Bear sees it. And then we begin our process of smoothing it out into what it's going to look like. But, you know, we need some time to lay it all out so that then we can pass it back to the game designers, our editors, and they can go through and look for errors, look for cleanups, like anything that they, you know, and that's kind of and then once they give any corrections, we apply the corrections, and with any luck, that's it, and we send it off to get made. That's probably the simplest breakdown of how we make our things, but you know, there are always snags, and there's some parts where are kind of mixed roles, and sometimes there's things happening at once at the same time, but that's more or less the way it should happen. So, you know, right now we have like 4 books that are in different stages just for Path to the Planebreaker and the cards, and the cards as well in addition to that. So, you know, everything's at slightly different stages, so there's always something to do.
I think
Turns out doing two different versions of the book for two different game systems for 3 books in a row gets a little complicated.
Yeah. I think it all goes back to what we said at the very beginning of this video. You offer so much for every one of your crowd backer things.
Yeah.
You don't realize at the end of the backer kit or Kickstarter, whatever it is, you're like, oh man, we have like 12 things we have to roll out for this.
Yeah, and Path of the Flamer Girl is one of our bigger.
Standpoint is phenomenal because it's like we get Christmas every month. There's a ton of new books that we always get.
There's a lot of good stuff that have been coming.
The other thing, the other big thing that I think I love to point out too is that again, MCG now is what, 14 people?
13, I think, or about 13.
I
mean,
so it's
there's
13 people. I just love to point that out. You got to think about that for the quality of what you do. There's no comparison. The big companies with all the with all the other resources, you guys make them look bad sometimes.
Awesome. That's so good.
Before we go into audience questions and chat, if you do have a question, just post it in chat. I will take it down and preface it with the word question, so we know. I know we have a couple of good questions already. Al,
Nice.
Down, right?
One thing. Oh, and then like the other thing I wanted to touch on this one because this one's kind of dear to me, and I know Bear shouted it out last week, but Darkest House is out. The Darkest House is out, and that's one that was it's sort of one of our last parts of fulfillment for that. It's actually a surprise thing because originally the Darkest House was an app only, right? It's a desktop app that you run, and it's actually really gorgeous and really good resource, but it kind of never, I don't think it got its due really. So Monte, even when he wrote that, he said, don't even try to make this into a book because it's such a weird labyrinth of things. Well, we did try to make it. Not only did we try, but we made it into a book, and it's out and it's beautiful, and I'm really excited about it.
First of all, Javier, I'm just going to say this. I was skeptical when you guys announced that was going to be a book too. But you guys did an awesome job with that. Because I was like, I don't know how that's going to translate to a book, but your guys definitely pulled it off.
Yeah,
Sean was actually at Gen Con when I bought the last one that you guys had on the show.
Yeah, look at this. Like we made it work. Like we had so many good ideas, and this was one of the layout projects that I came in and worked on pretty hard, closely with Bear, who had the approval on this, and Monte, of course, who's like, this is one of his darlings, of course, and we made it work. We I think we found a way to organize the different sections of the house. And one cool thing is, for example, we were going to do them alphabetically at first, but it was a safe way to do it. And I think Monte looked at that and he's like, we need to do this in like the progression of horror that is a house, right? Like the house has a certain logic to it, and because it's a book, it's of course linear, whereas and so Monte and Bear worked on like redoing the order of the rooms, so as you're going through it, like sort of gets progressively more intense. It's just I'm so excited about this book, and like you said, I think the app was had so many resources and ways to kind of scan around that we really kind of tried to think about ways that you're gonna look at the table of contents and know what to do, and also look at the end papers and have like a really good diagram of the map, right? Like the end papers are always going to be easy to refer to, and we have, if you we have QR codes in here, which is really cool. It's the first time we did those for these assets, so you can scan these and like get the digital assets as well. We've got page references galore, so like a rooms index in the back that's like alphabetical if you're like looking for ways to look, navigate this house, because it is a labyrinth. It's a really intense horror, and if you love horror, because it's that genre, of course. It's a beautiful book. I'm so excited that this is finally out, and I think any horror fans, we're in the spooky month of October, and it's out on shelves. It's like the perfect time to kind of pick one up.
And you should be very proud of it. It is absolutely a gorgeous book. Like I said, I bought a copy for our giveaway. So one of you lucky people out there, will hopefully win that book.
Yeah, awesome.
And as a person who loves horror, I mean, I wrote the Stay Alive book. I got to say, I hate The Darkest House. Not because it's not a good product, it's not a good book, but it's scary and I hate it. Like he being Monty, introduced The Darkest House to his Invisible Sun campaign. And so our group got stuck in the Darkest House and couldn't get out for a while. We managed to get out. And later we realized we had to go back in. I'm like, oh, this place, I hate this place so much. And then our next Invisible Sun narrative, we all started going to the Darkest House. I'm like, why can we never escape going to the Darkest House? It's terrifying and horrible. Why are we here? Please
The house hates
go.
Yeah, and the house hates you too.
The house hates you and he wants you back.
Yep.
That's the reason why you keep on going back, because you hate it so much.
I mean, it's gorgeous. It's a great product. You know,
Yeah,
the book
yeah.
is put together very, very nicely.
Book in the app.
And
I
it-
still recommend the app. Like get it as well because it's.
I have them, but we have them.
Yeah.
You know, we're
For sure.
we're MTG fanboys.
Yeah. Oh, I
we
bet.
don't have blanks in our
Oh, I love it. Love it.
Before
All right, let's
we
get
go to the audience question, I was just going to throw out this last question. Is there anything from the Weird or Glimmering Valley or anything from this Crowdbacker project? Oh, what do you prefer? Bruce prefers Crowdbacker, but what do you prefer to call it? Because I don't think there isn't
Backer. I say Backer Kit because that's the
Backer Kit.
website name, but Crowdbacker sounds catchy. I like
So
that.
in one of our meetings, we joked that we should just call it Backer because but Terry had a great one because if you shorten Backer campaign, it becomes back pain.
That's funny.
Yeah, I think that might be. Yeah.
Is
Maybe.
there anything from the Weird or Glimmering Valley that we may have missed on, with only a day to go? Is there anything you want our audience to know about this project that, might turn their decision around to back it?
We have the different pledge levels. If you're not a book person, just get the PDFs. I think that's great. Tune in tomorrow at the end of the campaign. We're gonna reveal what these images on your screen are about, and that's always gonna be fun. I just want to repeat that again, just to make sure we get that. But
Yeah, I put it back on big again, just so
Yeah.
anybody who missed it could get a chance to look at these
Yeah.
gorgeous teasers.
if
We
you're-
have no
yeah,
idea what they are, but tune in tomorrow at the end of the Backer Kit to
I
find out.
can't say
I
anything.
gave you my prediction. I'll tell you what they are.
Oh,
That's what-
Like, take a look at
no, just go
just
ahead.
take a look at the preview PDF and
Yeah.
maybe just back it to get the PDF of the 2 decks, because if you're like, you know what, I'm not going to need a Numenera thing, I'm not going to need a whole book of crazy wild stuff,
Mhm.
but a couple of different decks of cards are just like, oh, interesting idea, interesting location. Those are always great, especially if you're a person who is a DM who has to you're a GM. Here I am saying DM. I haven't said DM in like 30 years. A GM
Yeah.
who does a lot of one shots or has a lot of situations where you need to create something on
Yeah.
the seat of your pants just because you have you lost your notes, or someone's like, you're running tonight, oh crap,
Yeah.
having a deck of cards you can just flip a couple of ideas out. Those are so handy, and they're just a really great resource. Check them out.
It's also worth mentioning too, as well, if you could back at what they said, one thing, maybe a PDF or something. You can always, once the Crowdbacker is over, since you backed it originally, you can always change your pledge.
Mhm.
So, if you because we have a lot of people on the server that have regrets that they didn't,
Mhm.
when they hear everyone say, hey, I just got this, then they'll be like, oh man, I really wish I would have backed it at a higher level. Well,
Yeah.
if you back it at all, you can always go back and increase your pledge.
Yeah.
So if you, even on the fence, back it at a PDF level and you'll still be able to go back
Yeah.
and adjust your pledge.
So I think, because I think we'll have a couple of copies, but this I'm pretty sure that this deluxe version of the Weird is going to be a campaign only. Like it's not going to retail. So the way we usually design these things. So I don't know you probably can't quote me on that, but it's probably, it's likely. So don't take that chance.
I think if you're a retailer, you can back it and your retailer package will include a few of them, but it's not going to be available for general, like, hey, I missed the campaign, I'm going to order it and get the deluxe version. So like, it's either get the deluxe through the campaign yourself or get it from a retailer who is a deluxe backer.
Yeah.
And if you've seen any of the MCG deluxe books, trust me, they're giving you great advice because the deluxe books are always gorgeous.
Absolutely gorgeous.
The books, there's no.
Oh, I have a random comment that's bouncing around in the back of my head.
Just look at those books.
Yeah.
Over here. There we go. I went the wrong way. Look at those deluxe books. Those are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
They have, they
love it. Love this collection.
great stuff, and there's more of them back there somewhere. But yeah, you guys don't even know the glory that you get the bang for your buck that they offer you. So, and the only other thing I'm gonna say before we we got to get into the
Audience questions.
the audience
questions.
questions. If there are any more other questions, we do have one question here. But if there are any more questions, please throw them up so we can continue with them. But the last question is from Type 5 Rugger. His question's for Javier. He said, based on your statement of keeper of knowledge, how many times do you think your lucky stars each day knowing that you're working with a team of tabletop RPG visionaries?
Yeah.
When I saw the Twitter post about your hiring, I thought, yeah, that tracks. Like attracts like. And you guys are just killing it with your total design kit.
Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, I feel pretty lucky. This is, this has happened very quickly this year. Like I was not, I think Barrick had kind of hinted to it, that it was a possibility, but I was thinking distant possibilities. So getting brought on this early and gelling so well with the team and getting to be part of such a, a talented, skilled, and like dynamic team is just, it's a pretty great career move for me, and I'm glad. I'm happy. I feel challenged. I feel rewarded. I feel it's gonna be a great role, and I'm just excited to see what else we can do together. So,
Excellent.
I have a question for Sean. I'm gonna put it in the audience question, but Sean, why did you do Animal so dirty like that? El Animal.
Oh,
I have a funny story for you. I was at a comic book store in Manhattan the other day, and some random person came to me, and they literally, we're New Yorkers, so it was New York speech, but he literally told me the same thing. He said, hey, I saw you in a video. Why did Sean do Animal so dirty like that?
so what he's talking about is I ran a one-shot, the superhero game for Cypher for the guys here, and Anthony was playing El Animal, who is kind of a Beast Boy shapeshifter. And at the very end of this session, I decided to end it with a cliffhanger where the big bad guy teleports away, but he had Anthony's character with him, and so he's gone now. And so, maybe next episode they'll be able to find him, or he'll be replaced by a robot double or something.
So good.
And I mean, it's a comic book thing. You end the session, and there's stay tuned next week for.
Oh no, it was absolutely awesome. But I told the person that asked me that I was gonna ask you next time I saw you.
Wait! Someone actually asked you that? Some random person?
Midtown Comics on.
Get out of here!
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool.
Random person asked me, "Hey, what? I saw a video."
Well, yeah. Well, Sean's gonna be running more one shots, I think, right? Over at Gamehole Con.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you should come out and meet us all. I'll be there as well. And we're excited. I'll be in Madison, Wisconsin, and coming up in 2 weeks.
Like 2 weeks?
Oh, yeah, 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, and real quick, speaking of Gamehole Con, some of our audience was watching people from the CU, and they're talking about being at Gamehole. If you're going to be at Gamehole Con, awesome. We will look for you. We're definitely going to do something together. We're going to be hanging out with MCG the whole time. It's going to be a great time, but if you can, and nobody's telling you have to, but run over and get you a CU shirt or a CU hat. And that way we can identify you real easy, and we'll just become the CU gang and descend on MCG.
Love it. Yeah.
Also, I'm
Yeah.
doing the thing at Game of Whole Con like I did at Gen Con is if you see me at the show, ask me for dice.
Nice.
I'm doing it. As soon as I see you, I'm not even gonna say hi. I'm gonna say I'm asking you for dice.
That's how you do it.
Just like I need
yeah,
dice.
it's gonna be fun. I don't know. Yeah, we should be talking about this pretty soon. But we have our MCG 10th anniversary this year, and I think the Saturday night is we're going to be hosting like a big event with giveaways and at Gamehole Con. So if you're attending, that's going to be amazing. And then we're also sponsoring, I think, the opening night events festivities for Gamehole Con. So you'll see many of us there, it'll be
I'll
awesome.
be there.
Yeah, all the CU's gonna be there. It's been like 2 years since we all got together for a con, so this is gonna be awesome. And I missed all you guys. I haven't got a chance to have my favorite night in any of these cons is always the night with Monte Cook Games, and this year it's the birthday party. It's a 10th anniversary party, so I'm even more excited. That's the highlight of my con every Gen Con is the night with MCG. So I'm sure this isn't gonna be any different.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I want to say that Tide 5 Rugger says that he regrets not interrupting me at Gen Con. And I think we had this conversation on Twitter where it's just like, no, come talk to me. Like, even if I'm having a conversation. That reminds me of a really bad knock joke that I'm going to tell to Dean. So, Dean, knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting duck.
Interrupting duck.
Quack.
Bruh.
That is the ultimate dad joke.
Bruh. Ooh.
Oh my God. Well, listen, Anthony, you guys would go ahead and take us away. Unless I'm sorry, Javier and Sean, do you have anything else you'd like to say to our audience before we wrap things up for the evening and let you guys go and do something more interesting and hanging out with us?
No, I'm pretty good.
Javier, are you sure there's not
thanks
one
for having
other
me on the
people?
show, and thanks to everybody in the chat, and thanks to everybody who buys our stuff. We really appreciate your support and your enthusiasm. We work really hard to make books and games that we think are really, really great. On my personal blog, I've been going chronologically through every single book that I worked on and just giving some behind the scenes trivia and anecdotes. And I just did one about the Forgotten Realms campaign setting. And eventually I will get up to where I start working on Numenera and other MCG stuff. And we'll have wild stories to talk about those too. But just, we would not be here if it wasn't for you people who buy our games and play our games and tell us the sort of stuff that you want to see. So thank you very much for that.
I mean, you guys, the MCG is probably, I've been a fan of gaming for close to 35 years, and
Nice.
you're the one company that's, you're so approachable. You listen to your fans. You do, you guys go above and beyond what you need to do, what you should do. You're just amazing. Not only game designers, you're amazing human beings, and that's the reason why you have such loyalty in your fan base. You may not be the biggest company, but you have the most loyal fan base. I can tell you that for a fact. Because
Loyal, and I'm just to add to what Anthony said. Loyal, satisfied, always sit on the edge of our seat waiting for the next thing to come. It's really a beautiful thing. And Anthony, I can't say more. I think we all feel that way when it comes to MCG. I've told Monty many times that it was Numenera that reinvigorated my passion for gaming, because I was really getting ready to stop, and now I'm looking at 45, 46 years of this hobby. So it's crazy.
the graphic novelty wife said, Sean, look out for dumpster mimics.
Oh boy.
That sounds like a new godforsaken creature.
If you feed a mimic enough, it'll get to be, big industrial garbage can size.
Just personally, Sean, Javier, Sean, Javier, we're extending, you have an open invitation. If you ever want to come on, chat with to see you,
Thanks.
you know, we'll gladly have you. Sean, thank you so much for everything you do for us, you know, on and off air. You know, you've always been there for us personally when we needed you for everything. So, you know, we just want to say thank you so much. We love you, Sean. And before I go into my spiel, Al, you got anything you want to say?
No, nothing except I'm gonna just make one quick thing here. It's just one more time. Here's that teaser image. I was gonna say, Javier, could you tell us one more thing? I know you can't. That's why
No.
I'm asking you.
Yeah, you're seeing it
so,
about break.
I'm so excited. I'm so
All I
excited.
can say is tune in tomorrow at the end of our campaign. Pledge to be the first people to find out, and we're gonna say thank you again, Cypher Unlimited, everyone here for tonight for the interview, and yeah, thanks.
All right, you're good to
Said
go,
Urban
Ed.
Fantasy, W. Godfrey 34 said I cannot wait for Urban Fantasy with the Raven.
That's the crow. So you know, it's the crow. That's the crow whisperer's job.
I was gonna say it could be a Raven, we don't know.
No, it's a crow.
Very,
I'm telling you, it's Sean's thing. It's a crow. Don't argue with me.
First of all, it could just be drawn a little funky and it's actually a duck, because it's weird.
That knock knock joke is maybe
Yeah, I know.
has him
That
hidden.
knock joke might tie in this whole thing.
Quack.
All right, now we really went to left field. If you like us and you like what we do, join the Cypher Unlimited Discord server for all things Monte Cook game. We have over 4,000 members and growing. You know, if you want to talk about games, run games, play in games, or just hang out with some awesome, cool people, join the Cypher Unlimited Discord server. If Discord's not for you, join our Facebook group. It's not as big as our Discord, but there's still great conversations being had there as well. Or give us a like, share, and subscribe here on Twitch, or go to our YouTube channel. Like Al said, we're only 6 subs away from 1,000, and we really appreciate if you went over there. Even if you hate us, subscribe and tell us how you hate us so much in the chat, and we'll greatly appreciate it. If you also want to give us a donation, our videos are always free, but you know, give us a little donation on Ko-fi. It helps us out with little things like Zoom course. Or if you want some cool Cypher Unlimited merch like the hat I got on here, go to the Cypher Unlimited store and pick up some cool CU merch. Matter of fact, like Dean said, pick some up and meet us at GameOCon. Let us know that you're fans of the Discord and us, or you just want to give us money, we'll take that as well. And last but not least, I love you guys, or we love you guys.
And yeah, thank you again, everybody, for watching. Having this little discussion was fantastic. Even more excited for the Weird. I'm so excited for that book. My gosh. But again, thank you guys for coming on, Sean and Javier. It's a blast. And finally getting to meet you, Javier. We finally got a chance to sit down, meet. We definitely got to get you back on solo. Probably talk a little more in depth about what you do with design work, but that's for another time. But yeah, thank you everyone again, and from us at the CU, we will see you later. Peace.
Bye, guys.